Have you ever wondered what's the pros and cons of living in Houston, Texas? Well, in this video, we'll be discussing just that. Hi, I'm Will Johnson. I'm a local realtor here in the greater Houston area. If you're thinking about visiting here, feel free to give me a call, send me a text message, an email, or even an Instagram DM. I love to hear from you guys and about your travels. Also, if you're thinking about moving here, I'm a realtor. I love to work with you and help you find a home. So I've been here for the last 10 years, so I'm probably kind of biased. So I wanted to start off with the pros and cons so I can get some positives and some negatives. So pro number one is the housing is more affordable here. The median home price here in the Houston, Texas area is $220,000. And the median income here is $45,728. Houston, Texas is even more affordable than other major cities in Texas like Dallas and like Austin. So pro number two is energy costs. So the energy costs here in Texas are generally a little less expensive than other places in the U.S. because we have a lot of energy producing sources here. We have a lot of wind turbines here and a lot of things like that. Also here, Houston is more affordable with energy costs than other major cities in Texas like Dallas and like Austin. Pro number three, there's no state income tax. So the state I come from, Mississippi, there's a federal and a state income tax, which most states are like that. So when you get your check, you see a withheld with the federal and you see an amount withheld with the state. So you'll get state income taxes every year and you'll get federal income tax if you make under a certain amount. And if you have your own business, you'll owe the state and you'll owe the federal. But here in Texas, there's no state income tax. So that's one pro. So when you make money here, you get to keep a little more money in your pocket because you don't have to worry about the state taking money out of your pocket. But the federal will always take their money because Uncle Sam wants his money. Pro number four is the culture diversity here. There's a very diverse culture here. Several studies in recent years have shown the Bayou City at the top of the list for economic and racial diversity. The city has no ethnic majority and nearly 1 in 4 residents are foreign born. In fact, Houston today mirrors the demographic forecast of what the U.S. population will look like in 4 decades. The latest report from Wallet Hub shows Houston is the most diverse city out of 105 municipalities researchers examined. Pro number five of living in Houston, Texas is that it's a big city. So needless to say, Houston, Texas has a lot of things to do in the city. You have the Minute Maid Park if you want to go see the Houston Astros play. You have the Toyota Center for the Houston Rockets, and then you can go see the Texans play. So Houston has a basketball, football, and a baseball team. They have the Houston Zoo. They have so many things to do in the city, and there's so many different events going on, so much networking going on. So this is a great place with a lot of people to where if you are career minded or you want to start something, you can come here, and it's different cultures for everybody. Okay, let's start with the cons. So con number one is you might pay more for insurance because Houston has been known to have tropical storms. Some areas of Houston, not the majority, but some areas of Houston does flood. So Houston has known to have higher insurance premiums when you're paying for home insurance. And I think this can even affect car insurance depending on where you're staying. If you live in a flood zone, your car insurance may require that you have some extra coverage in case there is a storm and in case you are in a flooded area. So con number two, there's higher property taxes than most states. So there are relatively higher property taxes in Houston and a sales tax of over 8%. So that's one of the cons. You know, the county gets all the property taxes, and that's the way they take care of a lot of things and the way they pay a lot of people. But if you look at it on paper, the pros do outweigh the cons with the no state taxes versus the property taxes. Plus, you can stay wherever you want. Some places have lower property tax, some places have higher property taxes, just depending on where you want to stay and where you want to live. So con number three, the biggest con I want to say for last, is the Houston traffic. So Houston has a lot of bad traffic jams. If you work inside of Houston and you stay out on the outskirts of Houston, you will really get tired of the traffic.
Houston traffic.
A lot of stress, a lot of waiting, and a lot of patience.
there's always wrecks going on, and there's always, even if there's not wrecks, there's always big traffic jams going on in the rush hour time from about 3 to 6 p.m. and also in the morning from about 9 to 10 p.m. There's always a lot of traffic jams. So a lot of people come to Houston and they get scared of the traffic, and they don't want to live in the city because they've drove here and had a bad experience. When I first moved to Houston, I also had this feeling. When I came to this area, I would stay closer to the Baytown area, but anytime I would drive into Houston, I would get frightened from the Houston traffic, and at one point I told myself, you know what, I'm never gonna go into Houston. I don't want to try to go into Houston because it's so much traffic. But then I missed out on so much until I was kind of forced to start working in Houston and learning my way around it. And after a while, you see different pros and cons. You know when to drive, when not to drive. But if you're gonna stay inside of Houston, it's better because at least you're inside of Houston. But if you're gonna be on the outskirts of Houston, you're gonna be one of the people that's staying on the outskirts of Houston but working inside of Houston, contributing to the traffic jams. The native Houstonians there absolutely hate it. They hate a lot of people coming and making the traffic worse. So I would say it would be nice to strategically pick a place to stay to where it can avoid a lot of traffic and a lot of traffic jams, because you know about Houston traffic.
Houston traffic.
Pulling my hair out. That's how I feel.
Unless you're working in downtown Houston or somewhere in the city limits, I recommend you staying on the outskirts of Houston and only going inside of Houston when you're going to a big sporting event or you're going out to eat or to do something. That way you don't have to always constantly deal with the traffic. So that wraps things up for pros and cons of Houston, Texas. I know I missed a lot, so if you could please put it in the comment section below. Also, if you want to be on my email list, I send a bi-weekly email on things to do in the Houston area. Please put it in the comment, or you can give me a call or a DM or something like that. Until then, see you in the next video.